No, he's probably the most clutch player in the NBA history. Almost. He's arguably. He had 2 game winners in that 2018 playoff run alone. And the clutch shots he's made.
Bro, I don't think they know what they're talking about, bro.
And the clutch shots. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Heavily Contested Podcast, the podcast where
We actually get to talk about LeBron James today, right, Drew?
yes,
We talking about the GOAT, the GOAT, the GM, the everything. And you know, I got a lot to talk about today, Drew. So how do you want to talk about him? Should we talk about where he was born?
So okay. Unfortunately for Travis, this is an autobiography episode. We're not going to go over the life and story of King James, but we are going to go over our NBA GOATs. It's kind of obvious who Travis thinks is the GOAT, and that's kind of been stated.
Nah, I don't. It's not obvious to me. I think it's obvious to everybody. We all know who the GOAT is.
No, I
right?
don't think it's obvious.
It's not
to
really
everybody.
just a debate anymore. It's kind of just, you know, I know, we all know.
I don't know. But
Okay.
it's okay, because we'll be going over that right now, so then we'll soon know the truth.
Okay.
Either way, we'll be going over our NBA GOATs, and then also later in the episode, we'll give our Week 1 preseason reactions.
Okay.
You know?
I like that. I like that.
We'll be starting off with the GOATs, and we'll get right into it. Point guard position.
guard.
We'll be going by position, and then in the end, we could list out.
Who the best
Who
one
the
of
best-
all time is.
Yeah, and if you want to list out a 5 at the end for like all time, you could
Okay.
as well, just to do so. But we'll start off with point guard.
Okay. So, for point guard, you know, this is the position that got to facilitate the offense, brings the ball up the court. You know, in this new day and age, anybody could really be a point guard. Luka, I thought he was a small forward, but I'm guessing he's a point guard
He's
now.
technically stated as a point guard.
But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, Ben Simmons is a point guard, but he's 6'10". So
James
the point
Harden is now a
guard,
point guard considered. He's
the-
considered to be a point
the
guard.
point guard position is a little interesting now. But there's two main candidates. We got Magic Johnson and Stephen cooking with the wrist, Chef Curry. Right? Those are the two biggest ones. Now, for me, I'm not going to lie. Magic is great. Steph is great. Steph beat the GOAT 5 times in the damn finals. Like, he's had teams that have beat LeBron. Magic, though. Magic Irvin Johnson. This man is a crazy man. 5-time champ, 3-time finals MVP, 3 times MVP, and 9-time first team. Now, this is why I think Magic Johnson is amazing. 5-time champion?
Yeah.
People don't even talk about how many times he won a championship. And he's I would say, for me, he's the best passer besides LeBron. But he's the best passer that I ever seen. I don't think Steph can make the passes that he does.
Yeah.
Steph shoots a lot better than Magic does. Magic, most of his game was passing and in the paint. So that's something that he has over him. The reason why I can't give it to Steph ain't got no finals MVPs, bro.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry. I can't give you the credit for those rings if you're not even winning MVP. Not once. Andre Iguodala won over you. And then he had KD, who basically, he was the best player on the team. Magic had Kareem, so I understand. Magic's not even the best Laker of all time. Most people say Kobe or Kareem.
I think, to be honest,
You
I
think
it's
Magic? Well, I don't know.
He's won 5
Curry
rings. and he's
is the
MVPs with
Warriors.
it.
Curry is the Warriors. So that's the biggest difference, I would say. But Magic has the finals MVP, so I can't really go against that. I'm sorry, Steph.
Same here actually.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm a big Steph Curry fan, but I think he's definitely gotten into the top 3 of point guards all time. But I'm not so quick to say that he, that he's actually in there. That he's actually number 1. In the end, Magic Johnson, he's a 6'9" point guard who could pass the ball unbelievably well. And he was a solid scorer too. You know, he brought many things in his scoring game, and being 6'9", he was also a great rebounder. So the one I just have to put Magic up there because when it comes to like the actual idea of a point guard, he definitely
That's
fits
Magic,
it.
yeah.
Curry's a little bit of a hybrid. Some people want to call him a shooting guard. He's Still point guard. He's still point guard, though. He's still the guy that kind of runs with the ball. He's a ball-dominant type player. Although he's actually shown this past season why he's also pretty much like a shooting guard. He never took the ball down the floor most of the time, and he was just trying to get open. Mm-hmm. But in the end, Curry is he is a point guard because he's still a very efficient passer, and he's actually done pretty well rebounding. He's not as horrible as people try to say he is.
He's only 6'3",
and he's only 6'3", you know, and he actually averages 1.7 steals per game.
I did not
as
know
a
that.
career. For his career. So Steph Curry's actually, and he's been an underrated defender his whole career. He's actually very sneaky with the way he does things. You know, he observes the defense well. He's very smart, so he's able to read passes, which is obviously why 1.7 steals is nothing to joke about when it comes to that. But right now, Curry is 2. If Curry makes a couple more runs here by the end of his career, especially without Kevin Durant,
then he can move up a little bit.
I could see him moving up to compete with Magic a little more. But right now, I don't think there should be a debate. I think Magic Johnson is the greatest point guard of all time. Steph Curry, number 2. An honorable mention at number 3 is Oscar Robertson. I think Oscar Robertson on the Bucks.
That's just too old, bro. My grandparents wasn't even able to see him.
Well, I was gonna say, so the only ring, Oscar Robertson though, the thing that's hurting him is he only won one ring, and it was the last time the Bucks won a ring, so 1970.
And what made him special, Russell Westbrook does for us now. So.
Yeah, I guess so too.
So that's why Oscar Robertson's kind of.
But he's an honorable mention. He's still a great player, and he's had a great career. Moving on, because point guards was pretty easy. I think it was out there for the both of us. Magic Johnson.
I actually like.
Yeah.
That was easy.
It was pretty easy to determine.
Job.
Yeah, it was
Good
pretty
job,
easy
bro.
to determine. Really, I mean, it's just Magic Johnson was just he's the idea of a point guard.
Yeah.
And standing there at 6'9" and being able to pass like he does, it's on another level.
He played center some games too. Like that's what I want out of my point guard.
Yes,
so.
Definitely. To move on, the interesting one, shooting guard.
Okay.
I'll start off this one.
You could start off.
Because I want you to start off the next one.
All right.
Michael Jordan. Easy. Five-time MVP, 6 rings, 6-time Finals MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, 30.1 points per game, 6.2 rebounds per game, 5.3 assists per game, and he was defensive Player of the Year, so he's also on the all-time defensive team. He was a league-leading scorer for many years. His accolades are not to mess with. Second place for me would be Kobe Bryant. He's won 1 MVP. He's a 2 times Finals MVP, which is the one thing that hurts him. I think is the fact that he didn't
win as many MVPs.
Well, back when he was I think the thing is Kobe's definitely been hyped up a lot, but I don't think he was as good as people said. Like I don't think he's a top 5 player of all time.
No.
Because of the fact that the 3 rings that he won early on in his career were a lot thanks to Shaquille O'Neal.
He didn't even win Finals MVP in those. I think that's
because
key.
Well, that's because Shaq was averaging 30 to 40 points per game. I think he had a series where he averaged 40 points per game to win that Finals.
Yeah, so it's if you're not even the best player on your team, it's hard for me to give you the credit for that ring.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, not so much the credit for the ring, but when you're trying to compare it
to
it doesn't tell the full story. You know what I mean? Sometimes, because there's many players who have rings that shouldn't have rings.
Yeah.
So just a ring alone doesn't tell the entire story, right? So for Kobe, I don't think he's really that close to Michael Jordan in that conversation.
He tried to be Michael Jordan.
He tried to be Michael Jordan, but in the end, I don't think he didn't do enough. He was a great player, obviously top 10 player of all time and everything, but I don't think he's up there.
Kobe is a great talent. He is one of the greatest talents that we've ever seen. I would say him and KD as scorers alone.
Yeah.
You gotta put KD and Kobe, like they're kind of in their own league of their own. And
Michael, and you gotta put Michael, because
Michael's a great scorer too, but I think Kobe was just like. He would take like 90% contested shots.
Of course.
All the time, and they still go in.
Here's the one thing I want to state about Michael Jordan versus Kobe Bryant. The shooting percentage is significantly better for Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
And the thing is, too, I just feel like Michael Jordan is a better Kobe Bryant. You know what I mean? They're the exact
same height.
Almost pretty much the same build, because Michael Jordan was a great defender, right? He was the defensive player of the year, obviously. Kobe Bryant was considered a great defender. Michael Jordan was a great mid-range shooter, so was Kobe Bryant. Michael Jordan could shoot threes. Kobe could also shoot threes. It wasn't the main point of their game, but it was something that they had, right? Mm-hmm. And, of course, they were both known for being incredible finishers in the paint. Michael Jordan, being an iconic dunker, and Kobe Bryant the same as well. Kobe Bryant is an incredible finisher. I might even argue that that's more, like, kind of the most, best part of his game almost, as scoring-wise. He's actually very underrated as a finisher. I feel like that's not talked about enough. He's talked with his mid-range game, but I think Kobe was a better finisher than a mid-range shooter even. But again, Michael Jordan just did everything at a more efficient and a higher level.
Like, Michael Jordan's hard to argue against, bro.
No, and Michael Jordan had a killer mentality like Kobe. And also the one thing I have to give to Michael Jordan is he prevented a lot of careers from really. Charles Barkley doesn't have a ring because of Michael. You know what I mean?
John Stockton and
Karl Malone don't have rings because of Michael. Reggie Miller never had a chance to get a ring because of Michael. Michael Jordan.
Shaq didn't win with the Magic because of Michael.
Michael Jordan, similar to LeBron James, that's why they're considered on that higher level, because they have hurt so many careers and so many accolades that these players could have had just because of their existence in the league for however long.
You just got unlucky, buddy.
So, I'm assuming Travis's number also Michael.
Okay, so obviously I can't really go against Michael Jordan. I'm not going to argue against the dude that has 6 rings for 6 trips. He went to the final 6 times and he won 6 times. So you can't really say nothing about that. He did lose in the first round a couple times, though, because if you really think about it, he wasn't in the finals for a lot of years.
Well, playoff losses, I think, should also they don't have the hold as final losses, but in the end, it's a playoff loss.
Yeah, if you lose,
you didn't win the finals that year.
He was losing in the first round a couple times, so I kind of got to hold that against him, but at the same time, the next candidate, Kobe, ain't really on that level, so I can't really put that against him.
Yeah.
But most people don't know this. I was not a LeBron fan. Mm-hmm. I was a Dwayne Wade fan.
Yeah. Okay, good, because I had him here too.
I have to mention him. I was a Dwayne Wade fan first, and LeBron and Dwayne Wade are like best friends, so that's why I became a LeBron fan. So
for me too, it's the same thing, and I think Dwayne Wade's third.
Yeah, Dwayne Wade is third. The thing that I have to point out about Dwayne Wade is he did not have the same coaches in the organization that Kobe and Michael Jordan had. That's the biggest thing for me. It's not always just about the players; it's about the system that they're in. Dwayne Wade made great efforts with the positions he was given, with the players he was given. He had Shaq when he was like 34.
I think it was an older Shaq when he won that championship against Dallas.
He wasn't that good anymore.
I will say though, to argue, I mean, Dwayne Wade did have Pat Riley, who was considered a good coach, and also Eric Spoelstra, who's now considered a good coach today.
But Phil Jackson.
Oh, but yeah, of course. So then I guess to compare it to their coaches, no. It shouldn't be too much of a comparison when you come to Phil Jackson.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just think Dwayne Wade he seems like he's very underrated in the all-time conversation.
Yeah.
But he should be up there. He won. People like to say he won a ring. He can only win a ring because he had LeBron James, but he won a ring without LeBron James.
Yeah, he won with Shaq.
He won with an older Shaq, and he was on another level in that final series when he took over to win Finals MVP and beat the Mavericks. I think they went down 0-2 in that series as well. And they had to mount back and win 4 straight. So, I feel like, like you, I feel like it's just worth mentioning.
Yeah.
Because
you have to say his name.
have to say it because Dwayne Wade was an incredible player. And I feel like he's talked enough about as a shooting guard. People are I've seen this comparison when people are trying to put James Harden over Dwayne Wade. It's not close.
No, James Harden hasn't even won a ring yet.
James Harden has improved to be a big step up player like Dwayne Wade is in the playoffs. You know? And in the end too, I know everyone's trying to call James Harden an incredible, which he is. James Harden is an incredible scorer of the ball, which is the
free throws. He shoots free throws.
But that too. But also the fact is that Dwayne Wade is an incredible scorer and some. He was a great defender.
And he could pass too.
All
those lobs that you see that LeBron gets, who do they come from?
Yeah.
Dwayne Wade.
And that's not like easy plays either. You know what I mean? So Dwayne Wade's just worth mentioning, but the shooting guard I think is also a very obvious one. Michael Jordan up there. Small forward, I want to start you off because
you already know who I'm about to say. So
yes, just go ahead.
Let me bring up another person. I didn't even write his stats down, but Larry Bird is cute.
Yes.
James Worthy, he's cute.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant, you're not that cute, but you're cute too. Is there anybody else?
Julius Erving. I put
Julius Erving. He's cute, but LeBron James. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you something about LeBron James. He won 2-time High School Player of the Year.
Okay, we'll go.
Came in as a player that was destined to be Michael Jordan, and he exceeded those expectations. How do you exceed being better than Michael Jordan?
Well, definitely being the chosen one, yeah.
How do you exceed doing that? 4-time champion. You guys can say whatever you want about the Disney ring. He's a 4-time champion, 4 times final MVP, 4-time MVP. We know he should have more than that, though. He definitely should have at least 6. 17-time All-Star and 17-time All-NBA. And he's been in the league 18 years. Yes. He only missed it once.
Yes.
So that's something that you got to say. On top of that, you didn't realize I did this, but I took your Dwight Howard jersey. You see Dwight Howard? He wouldn't have a ring without him.
Full disclosure, I was a Dwight Howard fan, and I was a Kobe fan. So when he went to the Lakers, I was pretty hyped. So I got a Dwight Howard jersey. It's not that I'm a Lakers fan. It's that I'm a Howard and a Kobe fan. And I just thought it would be cool to have this jersey.
Dwight Howard wouldn't have a ring without LeBron. There's so many people that wouldn't have a ring without LeBron. He got Ray Allen a ring when he was like 35 and all he could do was shoot. So many different people. Shane Battier,
yeah.
He carried all these dudes to the finals. You seen him when he was in 2007. Well, not 2007. One team in Cavs. He had a bunch of terrible Cavs teams.
Well, I think,
he carried
in his early years
a Cavs team that the second best player was Zydrunas Ilgauskas. That was the second best player, and they went to the finals.
Yeah.
And then he took that other Cavs team with J.R. Smith as his next best player. Because Kevin Love was injured. They went to the finals. So you can't really put nothing against him. Like, he takes great teams to the finals and terrible teams to the finals. You can't expect him to beat Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Andre Iguodala on the bench.
With not the proper help. Of course, I agree. LeBron James is number one. I have to say, if I would like to rank the next two, it would be Larry Bird, and then Julius Erving. And I'd say Kevin Durant's 4 right now. Thing about Kevin Durant is his career is still going. Yeah. So he has room to go up. I think by the end, Kevin Durant, if he gets a couple more rings and he plays on the level that he played in this playoff series, if he continues to play on that level, he'll pass up Larry Bird. I don't think he'll pass up James, but I think he'll pass up Larry Bird as like the second greatest small forward. Because in the end, he's already considered the greatest scorer of all time.
Yeah.
All he needs to do is just keep adding to his accolades.
7 feet and he could shoot.
7 feet.
And dribble.
And he could still, and he showed actually in the Brooklyn series against Milwaukee, he's a good passer too, actually. Yeah.
And when he was on the Warriors, he showed he could play defense.
Exactly. So Kevin Durant, I just got to mention that he's probably going to keep moving up as time goes on. But LeBron James, you said it all perfectly. LeBron James is clearly the greatest small forward of all time. To move on to power forward, Tim Duncan.
Okay.
There's not too much argument here. The reason why Tim Duncan has 5 rings. He's 15 times All-NBA, 15 times All-Defense, and a 2-time MVP in the league as well. Tim Duncan wasn't this big showboating type guy, or he wasn't really very quiet, very mellow, kept to himself, right? He wasn't really the center of attention most of the times, which is why he might be forgotten a little bit too much, I think. Had he been out there a little more, I bet you people would have been talking about him a little more. Because here's the one.
Flashy either,
here's the bold statement I want to say right now. Tim Duncan is better all time than Kobe Bryant. Based on the long pause, I could tell that he's kind of thinking about that one a little bit.
He's better than Kobe?
I think he is because of the
wait,
he has the same amount of
What do you mean by better than Kobe?
Like all time ranking. if you want to
So
rank
like
them,
his stats and his talent, or what are we talking about?
well, no. So just like if you were to rank the players all time, so everything considered, stats, film, everything, who do you want to put over who? I'd put, and it's funny because they both retired the same year. Tim Duncan did it very nonchalantly. He just did it in the middle of the offseason, in the middle of the night. And Kobe Bryant, of course, had this big ending game, 60-point game.
So you're saying, like, if you started off a draft, you would pick Tim Duncan before you pick Kobe?
I think I would. I think I would because what Tim Duncan brings as a defensive player to another level than Kobe. I think Kobe's a good defender. Of course, we mentioned that already. But Tim Duncan was also a very good defender. He was a great rebounder. He brought many facets to the game, I think a little more than Kobe. And, of course, I said this. He's not that out there points per game. And people try to really look at scoring as the end-all, be-all in some of these conversations. Tim Duncan did only average 19.5 points per game throughout a career. But he brought more as a power forward.
It's hard for me to say that because Tim Duncan, he had amazing teams with the Spurs. He had David Robinson with him.
To your point, Kobe did too.
Kobe did too, but
Kobe.
He didn't have like Tony Parker, Manu, Tim. Tim
Kawhi
Leonard.
Tim won without those players in his first two. He won 5 rings.
But he had David Robinson with the first ones.
Yeah, but in the end, he still won MVP with some of those. Here's the thing, and then it's not like Kobe when Kobe had Shaq winning those rings. Shaq was the main guy.
That is different. I understand what you mean.
So I'm just saying that but we're getting off topic because now we're comparing 2 different positions in an all-time listing. But of course, I'm hoping that you agree, Tim Duncan.
So this is for me. It might be a little biased.
Okay.
Might be a little biased.
At least you're starting off with
I'm going to be honest with you. Might be a little biased. But I got to go with Dirk Nowitzki.
Oh, no.
Now, this is why. There's no way in hell that the Mavericks should have beat the Heat in 2011. That's my biggest argument. I can't really say nothing much about it. I was watching the film. He won MVP in 2007. He was part of the 50-40-90 club, which is something to be really highly praised for. He won Finals MVP in 2011 too. His other player was Jason Terry. Jason Terry
and an old Jason Kidd.
It was
Sean Marion. It was a very old team. It felt like a last run for a lot of those players.
There's no way in hell that he should have won a championship. So the reason why I say him is not because he had a better career than Tim Duncan. Obviously, Tim Duncan knows how to win. But for talent-wise, if I could choose one year that I could get somebody, I'm getting Dirk Nowitzki. Because that was one of the craziest talent-wise scoring I've ever seen in my life.
Here's the one thing I got to say. I think Tim Duncan's shooting's underrated as well. It's not like Tim Duncan was just purely in the paint.
He shot mid-range.
He was able to shoot a mid-range and a 3 here and there. You know what I mean?
But Dirk was shooting threes 40%.
Here's the one thing I'm going to say. And I remember looking back because that's one of the... I really like watching that finals because it was a cool story. Yeah. It was a cool storyline. But Dirk Nowitzki really didn't do good in that game 6. I think he shot 8 for 20 and he only had 20 points or something. It was something around there, which hurt his average a lot. But I also think it showed to me too a little bit that it wasn't all Dirk, but more too that the Heat were not playing at a good level.
LeBron had a terrible series.
LeBron had a terrible series. Dwayne Wade was not playing super great either. I think it was the Heat playing with their food a little bit in the sense and getting a little over cocky. In the end, too, credit should go to Dirk big time, because
there's no way that team should have been there. Like
that team wasn't expected to be there in the first place.
Didn't they beat Kobe? He beat Kobe.
Well, he swept Kobe.
He
swept Kobe, and then he beat the Thunder, a young Thunder team. So I put Dirk in my top 3, but I won't put Dirk at number 1.
I understand,
and I won't even put Dirk over the mailman, Karl Malone,
even though he ain't got no ring.
But remember, rings aren't everything in a story.
And he had to go against Michael Jordan.
Karl Malone had to go against Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and all those guys. So I like the boldness.
I'm just saying, the talent-wise.
And I like that you started off saying that you're a little biased.
It's a little biased. He beat LeBron James, guys. That's something big. He gonna put that. He gonna talk about that.
It sounds like you're just trying to find a good excuse as to why LeBron lost. So you're just gonna put it as Dirk Nowitzki was the greatest.
Dirk Nowitzki, bro. He's the greatest player of all time. He beat LeBron.
Oh man. Yeah. I don't put him over Tim. And I think Tim is actually very underrated in his career. But again, Dirk Nowitzki's top 3 for me, so I can't be super upset. And the fact that you did state that you were biased, at least you know. At least you know.
Tim Duncan had a better career, but Dirk Nowitzki, if he was on the Spurs, I think he got a chance. He got a chance to repeat that. That's all I'm going to say.
Maybe. Moving on to centers. This is kind of it's a big
The center one is the one that's kind of like...
Are you sure? I find it as crowded as it is with talent.
You find it easy?
I find it easy to make my choice. Kareem. It's Kareem.
That was
easy. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, 6 rings, 6-time MVP, and it's just an incredible scorer in the paint. He obviously has the iconic skyhook. You know
there's no better shot than that.
No better shot than that. Guys to compete with him are Hakeem, Wilt Chamberlain, and Shaq, but they don't have the accolades like him. They don't. Kareem is honestly, I think, a top 3 player of all time. Like Shaq, top 3.
So he's number 3.
He's number 3. Comparing him to like Shaq. Shaq has 4 rings, but only 1 MVP. Wilt he's a 4-time MVP, but only has 2 rings. Hakeem and then has 2 rings and 1 MVP. So, I mean, and people want to say, who's the guy from way back then that I'm thinking of?
Bill Russell?
Bill Russell. I don't know why.
Bill Russell has, 11 rings?
11 rings, and people try to put him in that conversation, but no.
There was 8 teams in the leagues. I'm sorry.
No, and he was a man amongst little children back then. He didn't have the competition. You got to scale to You got to scale to the competition as well. Kareem actually played good competition. They had to go against that Celtics team with Larry Bird and some all-time great teams there.
He played for 20 years.
I just think it's just hard to compete. And the thing is, too, is you can make the argument Shaq was more dominant. Kareem was dominant, too.
Yeah.
He wasn't as much of the bully ball as Shaq, but he was hitting.
He was winning. It's not just about... when you watch the tape, what is actually happening? You can have these great highlights, but are you actually winning games with those highlights?
Yeah.
So for me, you also got to throw in with Kareem. He has 3 jerseys retired. The Bucks, the Lakers, and UCLA.
Too. And that's the thing too, is it's not like you could just say Kareem, he was on good Lakers teams his whole career.
No, yes.
He won his first, didn't he win his first championship on the Bucks?
Yeah.
It was a Buck first. He won as a Milwaukee
He had
Buck.
Oscar Robertson when he was older, I think.
But it was an older Oscar Robertson. In the end, he still won a championship, and it wasn't like he just won it all because of magic.
He has 6 rings and 6 MVPs.
6 MVPs.
I don't know.
That is an insane...
Is that the league leader? 6 MVPs?
The next closest guy that I've seen right now is Michael Jordan with 5 MVPs.
Yeah, so...
like, he has more than even Michael.
I forgot. What's his real name? I didn't know this, but Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is not his real name. His name is like Lou Alsum or whatever. But Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is a great player. He came in the league. He won Rookie of the Year. Mm-hmm. So he was great from the beginning all the way to the end, and is the all-time leading scorer in the NBA. 38,387 points.
I forgot to mention that, but yes.
And he's a center. He has to wait to get the ball. He don't dribble the ball up court. Mm-hmm. LeBron still hasn't reached him, and he's about to go into his 19th year.
Yeah.
So.
And we don't know if LeBron. I don't know how far behind LeBron is.
He's like a couple thousand behind.
Yeah.
He
still has to put in some time to catch up. But Kareem is just put on another level.
Yeah.
And as a center, he's the guy that you want to look to as a center. He could do it all. He could still dunk the ball, and he could shoot. You know what I mean? And Shaq was great. Shaq was dominant.
Shaq is great. I got to talk about Shaq because without Shaq, Kobe might not even be.
Well, yeah. And the thing is too is Shaq's 3 final MVPs, how dominant he was in those finals. All those performances, it was unlike anything. It was really bully ball.
Nobody can compare to him. And he's He's 7'1", I believe. 7'1", 350 probably.
Yeah.
Running faster than everybody.
Just a monster.
That's
no,
not, come on.
Yeah, Shaq deserves his credit, but I don't think he's on the level of Kareem. Shaq obviously has an argument against, he could have an argument against Wilt, but I think he passes them up because of the fact that he also has 4 rings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Wilt Chamberlain only has 2. Hakeem only has 2. You know
Shaq did at the end. I think Shaq should have retired a lot earlier because he started going to the Celtics.
It hurt his career a little bit. Probably hurt his averages a little bit.
Yeah, because he started going to these teams and he wasn't even playing. Like his last game, he played like 5 minutes or something.
Yeah.
So it's
and the thing is so then people like that hurts the whole career average. But Shaq in his prime was a monster. He deserves credit, but it's not at the level of Kareem. Kareem just put on another level with the all-time scoring leader. 6 rings, 6 MVPs, which is insane, and I think unheard of.
19-time All-Star.
19-time All-Star through his 20-year career.
19 times.
You know, so insane. All time now. Now we're pulling all of these together.
Okay.
And now we're thinking, who is you could say top 5 or who is your top 3. I'm just gonna mention out my top 5.
Okay, so are we doing a starting lineup or are we doing just 5 best players?
Because if it's a starting lineup, then I think you'd be leaving out some guys who are better. Like if it was a starting 5, like Tim Duncan would be in there, and maybe there's another guy that you'd want to put instead of Tim ahead in the all-time conversation. So for me, like if I'm talking top 5 all time, I've really been debating this one. I think I want to put Larry Bird 5. I want to put Larry 5.
You said you want to put who?
Larry Bird. Why do I have trouble saying that? Larry so exotic, right? Larry Bird 5. Great player, went head to head against Magic Johnson throughout his career, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and won many of those finals. He was considered one of the greatest shooters of all time, top 5 at least. He's considered great player. Number 4 is Magic. There's always been that debate, Magic versus Larry. Magic is definitely number 4 for me. He's got the rings, he's got the accolades. What he does as a passer, as a point guard, he has to be commended for that. The only reason I don't think he's top 3 is because of the fact that these next 3 are really they're not debatable. Kareem at 3. And it's almost like you almost want to put Kareem Abdul-Jabbar higher, but you got to realize because of what he was as a scorer, but you got to realize what other stuff these 2 players bring to the game. Kareem, of course, we already mentioned how good he is, how great he was on a level. This is going to get interesting. Top 2 players. We know who the top 2 are. The question is where do we put them? Number 2, Michael Jordan. Number 2, Michael Jordan. LeBron James.
That was easy.
LeBron James.
Yeah!
LeBron James number 1.
Yeah!
For me. I know Michael has these accolades, but also the thing is LeBron James has passed up a lot of those season accolades already in his career. Thing is too is Michael has to, of course his career got hurt a little bit because he took a break for baseball, but that goes against you. Sorry, we can't just compensate because you missed those that year for baseball.
If you don't love basketball, how you gonna be my GOAT?
Well,
you don't even love basketball enough to stay here.
I don't think it was for it was for his father. I believe I heard.
I understand. There's reasons, but when you're a GOAT, this is not like we're playing in little league. This is high school.
Yeah.
You don't let nothing come between your career. When you're someone like this, nothing. You can't let things like that.
And the only thing I'm gonna say is my main reason. First of all, it's hard. I almost wanted to put Michael here. The only reason I wanted to put Michael here is because LeBron James, that 2011 finals, really hurts his resume. It does. That team was better than them. You know, we always have that. LeBron James always has that reasoning that his team was just not better than that. Like, that team had no business being there. His team had business being there. That other team didn't, and they won. Again, that hurts LeBron. But I don't think it's enough to put him under Michael Jordan. The only reason because I have seen what LeBron has done, and it is unlike anything we've seen in the game of basketball. that 2018 playoff run was by far the single greatest playoff run I have seen by a player. It's the single greatest feat in basketball that I've seen.
That's the Cavs team that had nobody on it.
That was a team that
Kyrie wasn't on there.
Kyrie. They had Kevin Love as an old player. That was their second best player. He wasn't even getting close to 20 points per game. George Hill as their point guard, who's really just a role player.
And
Tristan Thompson was their center. Yeah. That team, the year LeBron left, the year after, where the team pretty much stayed exactly the same, was the worst team in the league. LeBron James managed to take that team to the finals and almost beat the Warriors in game 1. I'm sorry, but and I know I've really debated the Michael LeBron thing because it could go both ways with this debate. It can. But LeBron has done so many things. Again, it's not just the stats that tell the entire story.
People don't know this, but the year that Michael Jordan went to go play baseball, the Bulls still went to the playoffs.
Yeah.
With Scottie Pippen alone. So that tells you Michael Jordan was great.
But he wasn't playing on teams that were that bad like LeBron James.
Yeah, he's had history of carrying teams that have no business being in that position, still getting over there.
Yeah,
so
and then the other run that he had early in his career where he ended up losing to the Spurs. He had a team there. I think DeLon West was one of their notable players. Henderson Varejao,
Yeah, Delonte West,
Delonte
the dude
West
that was messing with his mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His father, per se.
That might be his father. But,
but you know what I mean? It's just those teams had no business being there, and it's just by the sheer will of LeBron James. I can't put Michael over LeBron because of what I've seen. And I've taken my time to watch The Last Dance and actually watch Michael Jordan highlights because I really did want to make a fair opinion because it could be a little easier for us to go LeBron because of our age and he's in our era.
Yeah.
But I really didn't mind look at Michael Jordan, and he was a great player in the clutch as well. But LeBron James has got more clutch shots in the playoffs too.
Yeah.
That's the thing too. LeBron James has more clutch shots in the playoffs. He has more buzzer beaters than Michael Jordan in the playoffs. LeBron James' whole trope that he's this whole idea that he's not clutch. No, he's probably the most clutch player in the NBA history. Almost NBA history. Almost. He's arguably. He had 2 game winners in that 2018 playoff run alone. And the clutch shots he's made.
Bro, I don't think they know what they're talking about,
bro. And the clutch shots that he's made throughout his career. I'm sorry, but LeBron James is just... he's the best player of all time. He's shown to be a more clutch player than even Michael Jordan. You guys want to make that argument. That's just because you see this image of Michael Jordan as a clutch player. But LeBron James has more clutch shots. He's proven to be more clutch. And the thing is, too, is they want to talk about, Kyrie Irving won him this ring. LeBron James is a selfless player. We've talked about this before. He told him, let Kyrie get that final shot. He wants to let his other players...
He could have taken it on his own.
He wants to let other players succeed. LeBron James and what he does is a passer, too. He's probably one of the best facilitators of all time. So, again, it's just, come on. LeBron James does just on another level, I think. It's just... it's hard to say, but no. He is. He's the greatest player of all time.
Yeah.
I don't think we've seen Michael Jordan do what LeBron does as a passer, as an overall, the whole complete game. Michael Jordan is not on that level of a complete game as LeBron James is. It's close, but it's
close, but it's not close. Dro, you couldn't have said it any better. Man, Dro, I'm actually really proud of you. Well, you learned from living life LeBron is king. LeBron deserves to be worshipped every day.
Well, and the thing is, too, as Michael's gone against great teams, and we talked about how Michael has ruined a lot of accolades for a lot of career players, but he never had to go against a super team
coming from a Warriors fan.
Like the Warriors. And, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, arguably two guys who were top 5 players in the league at that time, as well as 2 other players who were considered to be top 20, right? Klay Thompson probably at some point of his career even maybe got close to top 10 at some point in his career. So he's never had to play teams on that level. And LeBron James should have actually probably won the 2015 had Kyrie and Kevin Love not gotten injured. He took, again... Then he had Matthew Dellavedova as probably his next best player. You know what I mean? When those two got injured.
Yeah.
And he still took that team to 6 games.
This is my favorite heavily contested episode, bro. Like, I just love this episode. Yeah, but LeBron James, let's also not forget about the fact, this is why the biggest reason why I was like LeBron is over Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, there's big shoes out, 72 10s. Nobody could beat this ring, 95, 96, 72 10s. Then the Warriors went and broke that record. 73-9. They're the best team of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And they lost.
And he beat that
team.
They
lost in the finals.
He beat that team.
And he was down 3-1.
How do you... It's almost... It like could be argued as one of the greatest finals of all time.
How can you even look at that and not realize that that's the best team of all time? He was down 3-1. And he doesn't... It's not like he has an amazing team like the Heat where he has Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, Ray Allen. It was just Kyrie.
It's Kyrie. And the thing is, too, people want to mention Kevin Love, bless you. But Kevin Love was old and kind of by the end. It wasn't like
Kevin Love wasn't playing that well.
He wasn't horrible, but he wasn't also the all-star, all-NBA Kevin Love that he was on the Timberwolves. And the thing is, too, again, people want to say Kyrie Irving was the only clutch player in that final. LeBron James had probably the most iconic
That was
block.
The greatest block I've ever seen in my life.
And the thing is, too, is people think clutch only comes offensively.
No. You can do it on defense, too.
We just saw it this past year. Giannis was a clutch defender this year. He had an iconic block.
No, you could have left that part out, Joe.
See, now you're just a hater. I'm trying to compliment LeBron James by also giving examples.
You could have left that part out, Joe.
We've seen plays that players can be clutch outside of just scoring. Giannis isn't the main scorer of the team, but he did great defensively as a blocker and as just an overall defender in the clutch, right?
Yeah.
LeBron James did pretty much the same in Game 7, right? And he was still their leading scorer, I believe, in that game.
He led both teams in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks.
And not to mention, in the next playoff series where they lose to the super team, LeBron James did average a triple-double in the finals. No. Don't let the whole because I know Jordan, it's iconic. It's that idea that you want to. It's almost hard to go against Jordan because of the fact that he's such an icon.
He basically made people love basketball.
He made people love basketball, so that's why it's hard for people to say that he wouldn't be the greatest of all time. But we're not looking at that in the GOAT conversation. We're looking at about actual play
and what you did.
Yeah, sure, Jordan has a better shoe brand. He's a better icon than LeBron, probably.
But in conclusion,
LeBron is the greatest
I love
player.
you, Bron. If you ever, you see me out in person, I'd love to come over to the house. Maybe have some tacos on Tuesdays.
Okay.
And, yeah.
But, yeah, for me, it was a hard decision, but I think I had to go LeBron James as the greatest NBA player of all time. Let's switch topics now. We've been on this. We really went into at the end there with talking about our LeBron is our greatest player of all time. But let's move on. NFL season, preseason has started officially week 1.
Hey, it wasn't bad. I was a little bit entertained. Some of the games I forgot it's preseason.
Well,
I was like, oh my gosh, I can't watch this. I literally turned on some old Phineas and Ferb. Hey, it was getting bad, but
although that's not bad to turn on at all.
But I mean, from watching an NFL game, usually I'm gonna watch the NFL game. But some of the preseason games got a little boring.
Here's the one thing I'm gonna say though: it was good to have football back on the TV. Yeah. I didn't care that it was preseason. I didn't care about all that. It was fun to watch.
Yeah.
And it was also fun to watch early on in the game to watch some of these rookies.
Yeah,
and then even at the end too, you catch some of the underrated players, the undrafted players that you might see. But at the beginning, we see some great rookies, and the most notable ones are the 5 quarterbacks, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So, let's go over it.
All right.
Who of these rookie quarterbacks, if you wanted to list them out, had their best performance?
Worst. We're gonna start off with the worst.
I know.
Gotta start off with the worst.
I know what you're gonna say.
Worst, I gotta go with Zach Wilson.
Ooh, actually, that was not.
This is why. Zach Wilson, you are on the Jets, and I understand that the Jets, they got Corey Davis. They ain't got that many weapons. But I noticed in the Jets game that they ran the ball a lot. There was a lot of running. So that tells me he made some good throws when he had the chance to. But at the same time, if Robert Salah, whatever you want to say, if he don't trust you to throw the ball a lot, I don't see you making no Rookie of the Year candidates, and I feel like he don't trust you. So that's why I got Zach Wilson kind of low.
Okay, keep going.
Then, after that, I'm going to go with Mac Jones. Mac Jones, you know, I think he's better than Cam, honestly, because from the practice film that I was seeing, I was like, I don't know, Cam. Like
the thing is, too, but here's the thing. If Mac Jones and Cam Newton, which I've seen in practice, really, I see them almost as an even level right now as they're throwing. Yeah. Especially at this point in Cam's career. If they're even, Cam's a better quarterback because what does Cam bring?
He can throw. I mean, he can run. But he can run.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Okay.
But the thing with Mac Jones, I just think he's younger and he's less likely to get injured than Cam. Yeah. So that would be the biggest reason for me to be like, okay, I would rather start him. But I seen in the game he was throwing a lot, and one of the receivers I'm excited to see what he can do is N'Keal Harry. N'Keal Harry was a player, I think he was a rookie last year, or maybe 2 years ago.
It was 2 years ago.
And I thought he had a lot of promising talent.
Yeah, from ASU.
I'm hoping that, Mac Jones can maybe open that up a little bit. Mm-hmm. But we'll see. Now, number 3, I got your guy.
Okay, Trey Lance.
Trey Lance. Now, this is the thing with Trey Lance. A lot of people were talking about when he came in that he was going to be a great runner. I didn't really see that. So, I can't, really put him in there. He did have a great 80-yard touchdown. I'm sure everybody's seen. Oh, my gosh. He did throw some also great balls that some receivers dropped.
Yes.
So,
I believe it was like 4 drops almost.
Yeah. So, I mean, you could say, well, his receivers dropped the ball. But at the same time, if they don't catch the ball, you can't say that it was a completed pass.
Of course. So but the thing is, too, is I also don't think that should hurt his performance. Because had those balls been caught like they should have been, because they were right in the hands, too. It's not like it was like a hard catch. Like they hit their hands. It should have been caught. Like there should have been an excuse. Had they been caught, then he would have been 9 for 14.
Yeah.
Or something. And then he would have had more yards to add on, too. Mm-hmm. Right? It can't hurt his performance as much as,
I understand. I just,
So, again, that's where film tells more of the story than just stats alone.
I seen Brandon Ayuk was one of the players that dropped the ball.
Which was
so I just want to let you. I'm gonna let you Niner fans know. You guys think he's gonna be great, but I didn't see.
He is. It's preseason.
All right. We'll let that go. My number 2, I got Trevor Lawrence. Now this is why I put Trevor Lawrence. The Jacksonville Jaguars I haven't watched since Jalen Ramsey was on the team. When I was watching that game, I was actually a little interested. They have Travis Etienne.
Well, the thing is I think Jacksonville actually kind of has an underrated roster. It depends on how Urban Meyer adjusts to the NFL game.
Yeah,
but they got Marvin Jones Jr. a receiver. They have
I think they got Shaquille Griffin.
They got Shaquille Griffin now for defense. So the defense is stacking up a little bit. They have Travis Etienne and, not to mention, James Robinson from the year before, who rushed 4,000 yards, mind you.
They're an interesting team. That's why I had to put him in there.
And then they have Chenault, I believe is his name.
Laviska Chenault. He's a great player.
He's going to be very underrated. And then DJ Chark is a very underrated receiver as well. They got an underrated offense. It depends on the O-line, and it depends on Trevor Lawrence himself, really. Yeah. And I think the defense has potential to be good. Yeah. So underrated.
It was entertaining to me, and I haven't found the Jacksonville Jaguars entertaining for a long time. So I have to put Trevor Lawrence in there because as a quarterback, I put it on you to make me entertained by the game. So
it's an interesting perspective.
So that's how I put Trevor Lawrence in there. Number 1, and I'm going to say this right now. This is my Rookie of the Year. I got the Chicago Bears quarterback, Justin Fields. Yeah. Great arm talent. He looks faster than Cam Newton. He's compared to Cam Newton, but he looks like faster than Cam Newton was in his prime. To me, from what I've seen on that touchdown run. Yeah. So I'm going with Justin Fields. The Bears, only thing with the Bears, I don't see them winning that many games. Because he doesn't have, he has Allen Robinson. But besides
actually, my problem isn't with the receiving core. My problem's with that O-line.
Yeah, he has
in the end, I think people really gave Trubisky a hard time. He wasn't god-awful. He had a horrible O-line. The Bears probably were the worst O-line last year. There's a reason why it was pretty impressive what David Montgomery did with that O-line. That O-line was bad. It was considered horrible. So, and they didn't, I don't know, they didn't make it, I don't think they made enough changes, man, to make that, like, completely disappear. You know what I mean? So that's my thing holding the Bears back offensively. And defensively, I feel like they're still inconsistent. They're not, like, at that level that they were.
They have a great roster on defense.
They do.
But they just don't seem to, they should be the best in the league.
Okay, here's my other thing. Matt Nagy's holding them back. I never thought Matt Nagy had a cool rookie of the year, like a rookie year as a head coach, but I thought from the beginning, I said it back then, Matt Nagy would not work out. Why? Because Matt Nagy was the old coordinator for when the Chiefs' offense was not the best part of their team. He was the old coordinator back when the Chiefs had Alex Smith, and the Chiefs were known more as a defensive team, not an offensive.
That was the Eric Berry days.
That was the Eric Berry days, and you had you still had your top players there, you know what I mean? He didn't show enough as an old coordinator, I believe, to be. Of course, he's an Andy Reid product, so that's why they pick him. But I don't think he's that great of a head coach, in my opinion. I could be proven wrong this year, but I think last year kind of proved a little bit of what I was thinking, and the year before that as well. Offensively, I just don't think he's.
But they have Khalil Mack and Eddie Jackson and Kyle Fuller, and they're not even close to the Rams.
No,
like the Rams defense is completely.
And then you go defensively. Once they lost Fangio, it felt like it was a little something was missing there.
Yeah. So
Justin Fields had a great performance. I agree with you 100%. 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing, 1 passing. Great throwing percentage. I think it was like 14 for 19, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if I'm right on that, but
And he's only going to get better over time. And Allen Robinson wasn't a factor in it.
And he showed poise in the pocket. You know what I mean? He showed a lot more poise than these other rookies. So if I were to give my list, it's funny how kind of it differs a little bit from yours. Trevor Lawrence is 5 for me. The reason why I say Trevor Lawrence is 5, him and Zach Wilson pretty much had similar stats. They were both 6 for 9. Trevor Lawrence just had more passing yards, right? He was not poised. You know what I mean? Yeah. Trevor Lawrence looked a little. He was sacked twice, really because he was just kind of standing in the pocket. He didn't feel like he had pocket awareness, right? And he just, I don't know. It felt off with him. It didn't feel like he had the speed of the game just yet. He had one good throw to Marvin Jones Jr., but it wasn't something that stood out to me. It was kind of actually disappointing a little bit. But again, it's a preseason performance. It's his first preseason game, so I don't judge too much off of preseason. I just like to see how these players continue to improve throughout preseason. If he continues to play like this throughout the entire preseason, it could be a little concerning. Yeah. But I don't think he had that creative a performance.
He has to warm up a little bit.
Next for me is Trey Lance. Oh. At 4. The reason why I put Trey Lance at 4, I said his stat line should have been better. It had there been drops, and it shouldn't be held against him that his players drop passes. But he did not have as good a pocket presence as I expected him to have. He really collapsed in that pocket. He looked very Jimmy Garoppolo.
Like he has speed, but he wasn't using it.
He looked very Jimmy Garoppolo-ish. Garoppolo has been known for how atrocious his pocket presence is. You know, he's a good thrower of the football, but he just can't move in that pocket. He just stand still. Lance seemed to do the same thing. I think it was 4 sacks that he had in that game. You know, and a couple of them were actually on him because he had time. You know, so he didn't look poised. But then again, I said this about Trey Lance. He's a project. We drafted him as a project. He didn't play his last year of college football. Played the year before that. He's known as a prospect. He's known as a project to develop, which is why they probably don't want to play him this first year. The only reason I even say that he's going to probably take over midway or late in the season is because, unfortunately, because of Jimmy Garoppolo's history, I just don't expect Jimmy Garoppolo to be fully healthy throughout the season.
On top of that, Jimmy Garoppolo is not talented enough.
Here's the thing. I think Jimmy Garoppolo healthy is a solid quarterback, top 15 when healthy. We saw that in the 2019 season. He had 28 passing touchdowns to 10 interceptions, I believe. Which passing-wise was on the level of Deshaun Watson.
That Super Bowl was in the 2019 season?
2019.
That was
the Super Bowl.
That was the ball where he overthrew.
Okay, so yeah, he had a bad Super, but we're talking throughout the whole season.
Okay. I just had to throw that in there.
So you're a jerk. That hurt.
I'm sorry to you Niner fans, but I was watching the Super Bowl, and looks like you guys needed to go back to that running game.
Stop. That's too much. Again, the only reason I think he might take over is just because I haven't seen Jimmy Garoppolo be healthy for a full season most of the time.
Yeah.
But I do think Trey Lance we drafted him as a project, so I didn't expect a lot from him this first preseason game. Maybe I as it goes on, I'd like to see improvement. But of course, remember, he didn't play a year of college. So it's going to take a while for him to adjust. Number 3, I have Mac Jones. It's just a solid performance. It's impressive, actually, to be quite honest, because I didn't expect solid from Mac Jones. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he actually wasn't that bad.
No, he wasn't that bad. He had a very good performance. Him and Cam Newton both side by side had very solid performances. He was efficient. He actually had good zip on the ball, which impressed me a little bit. I wasn't expecting so much from the arm strength standpoint, but he showed that he has some. And it was overall it was solid. You know what I mean? Number 2, Zach Wilson. I know you had him at 5. I have him at 2. The only reason I have him at 2 is because they had the same stat line, but I felt like Zach Wilson looked a little more poised. And
he was comfortable.
And he made the throws he needed to make. And he probably could have completed a little more had he, of course, had better weapons.
Yeah.
But he looked poised for being the guy that I expected to be he's one of the smaller quarterbacks, right? And I expected him to be a little overwhelmed. No, he looked calm. He looked poised. He made good throws when they were there, and he made the throws he needed to make. Again, you can't really ask more from a first preseason game performance.
Yeah. One thing I also forgot to say was with Mac Jones, the Patriots running back is leading the league in rushing yards. He had like 175 yards. So that just says alone that Mac Jones he was kind of average. He didn't really have to do
and that's what you don't want to have. You don't want to put your rookie quarterback going into the fire. Yeah. You want to be able to have him have support so that he can ease into the game a little bit. Yeah. It's rare when you see a Patrick Mahomes or a Justin Herbert. Yeah, to be quite honest, people are thinking that that's the norm, but it's not what you.
It takes a while for
Josh Allen
to develop.
Josh Allen. If you went by that same mentality of a rookie quarterback, that he had to be ready now, if you go off Josh Allen's first year, the Bills would have traded him already. Mm-hmm. What do? They stick with him. And what happens?
That's what the Eagles are trying to do with Jalen Hurts.
And that's what they're trying to do with Jalen Hurts. They see potential and that they can work with, Yeah. I just don't think the Eagles have that great of a roster to help him out, maybe.
No.
And they're so injury prone, those receivers. It's crazy, actually, how
they just see
Rager was injured.
Is that their best? Oh, they have Devontae Smith.
Here's the thing: they do have 2 first-round receiver draft picks, right? So
I don't think Jalen Rager is a first round, but
he was drafted first round. They saw something in him to go with him, so we'll see. Again, though, these preseason things can't be blown out of perspective because these quarterbacks need time to develop. Number 1 though, obvious: Justin Fields. Justin Fields played amazing, rushing-wise, passing-wise. He made incredible throws. He actually had good zip on the ball, too, as a passer. And he showed what he brings to the game more than many of these other quarterbacks. Of course, Trey Lance is arguably there, but he didn't show it this preseason game. Yeah. Justin Fields. He showed that he could run the ball well, too. And he had good pocket movement. He looked poised. In the end, the thing that you got to look for in these preseason games is who looks the most comfortable.
Yeah. Who looks like they're not nervous.
Who looks like they've kind of adjusted partially to the speed of the game. Of course, it's going to be different come regular season because then you're going against the real big dogs. Some of these players don't
That's when you got the real edge rushers.
Yeah, they don't have sometimes these starters don't even play in some of these games. But preseason, it's still a good showing to see how comfortable you are at this speed of the game. And Fields showed to be very comfortable, very poised. Another preseason performance I need to mention. These are not rookies anymore, but I have to mention the Broncos had 2 guys who stood out for me. Drew Lock had 2 touchdowns. One of them being an 80-yard passing touchdown. And
hey, Drew.
And the biggest one for me, and this is why I think Denver's going to have I think they're going to have a great defense this year. I think they're going to be on a top level again like they were. Von Miller's coming back. They have Nick Chubb. They have solid DBs. Patrick Surtain had a pick six. He had a pick 6 this game, and he had a couple bat downs as well. Yeah. Surtain showing why he was why he was considered the best cornerback in the draft. Here's the thing. I was very confused when the Broncos didn't take Justin Fields. I thought it was clear cut that they were going to take Justin Fields to help out with Jerry Jeudy and
Wait. Who's the Broncos quarterback?
It's Drew Lock. Again, so here, listen.
I was just making sure. I was like, I feel like they didn't do anything.
Yeah, and Teddy Bridgewater they did pick up in the offseason. So they're having a quarterback competition with that one. But I think Drew Lock showed in the first game he actually showed.
Honestly, I feel like Justin Fields would have been a better pick because their defense
Well, here's
is
the
not.
thing. So here's the only thing I wanted to explain about that. I could be proven wrong if obviously, first of all, Patrick Surtain obviously works out, which I think he will. Patrick Surtain.
Yeah, he's gonna be good.
He's gonna be a great quarterback. Corner. He's gonna be a great
Don't
corner.
waste Jerry Judy's career though. That's
Of
what
course.
I feel like.
And the thing is too is the Broncos' main concern wasn't defense, it was offense, right?
Yeah.
But maybe they want to give Drew Lock another year. And again, you can't be too quick to judge quarterbacks in this league because you have to give them time to adjust. So
He made our Raiders defense look amazing.
But here's the one thing I'm gonna say. We've just talked about this, right? We can't be so quick. You got to give him time to adjust. And Drew Lock looked good this first preseason game. So if the Broncos saw something in Drew Lock that they think that maybe we can stick with him for one more year to really see as a prove-it year, barring that Drew Lock stays healthy the entire season, as well as his receivers, which they do have a good receiver core. Cortland Sutton will be back off a torn ACL.
He's great.
Who's a 1,000-yard receiver we've seen. Jerry Jeudy, who should only get better, hopefully. He had a pretty rough first season, but,
They have Noah Fant, too.
Noah Fant at tight end.
Yeah.
KJ Hamler is a good receiver.
Yeah.
So maybe they see something in Drew Lock that they feel like they could stick with him and just band down the hatches and really get that really get that defense. Really get that defense up there in the top 10 level. Top 5 level even. But defense wins championships. So maybe that move is obviously showing Patrick Surtain looked good that first one.
I guess they want to be the Rams.
A little
That's
bit.
what I'm guessing they want to have a great defense and worry about offense later.
And the thing is too is they're maybe hoping that offense isn't going to be
terrible.
Yeah. It's going to be good enough.
They have Melvin Gordon still?
Melvin Gordon. That's the thing too. Melvin Gordon, and we've seen the potential Melvin Gordon's played at when he was really
on the Chargers.
Chargers. So let's see if he can find a rejuvenation here on the Broncos, especially now that I don't think he won't be sharing reps with Lindsey as Lindsey's on the Texans. So we'll see. Again, the Broncos, I never put them in my playoff prediction. I put the Patriots ahead of them, but if I was to put anyone right behind the Patriots, it'd be the Broncos. Because I think the Broncos are right there. Even over the Chargers. I know there's a lot of hype on the Chargers, but again, I think the Chargers are missing.
Right behind the Raiders.
But I think the Chargers are missing pieces defensively that can hurt them. But again, they brought in the Rams defensive coordinator as their head coach. But then who knows how that affects the offense. Good. So it's just very...
We'll see how the season goes. I'm very excited for NFL season.
I am too. A lot of changes, coaching-wise, as well as...
Oh, wait. One thing we got to make sure that we do. The taunting rule better not be a big issue this year. You've seen that play.
Yes.
Just a quick thing.
No fun league.
That better not be a big thing. He literally carried the ball.
Well,
had five people on his back for 15 yards.
I don't know what the NFL expects for a player not to be hyped up and, try to show a little bit of emotion when you make a play like that.
Okay, if he throws a ball at his face, okay, that's taunting. But if he just, yeah.
Like that, that's not taunting. That's not taunting.
What do you expect him to do?
See, here's the thing, too. I get that there's a taunting rule enforced in earlier little leagues. They want to teach sportsmanship, which I respect. Okay, cool. I mean, in the end, you scored a touchdown in flag football and you're in 4th grade. Calm down, buddy. You don't have to dance in the end zone. So I get that a little bit.
This is the NFL.
This is the NFL.
This is their job. And
this is their job. Men. They're professionals. They're the greatest in the world. And football's made for entertainment. It makes it less entertaining when you have these taunting rules like that. And a player can't do a little bit of trash talk here and there. That's part of the game. That's what made it so fun.
Yeah. Guys
like Warren Sapp were great trash talkers. Guys over the years, incredible trash talkers that make the game fun. Jalen Ramsey.
We want to see that. We want to hear mic'd ups and they saying whatever the hell they want to say.
We want to hear Jalen Ramsey going at it with DeAndre Hopkins.
Right.
We want to hear that stuff. So the taunting rule is ruining it, and I hope they make a quick decision to move away from that if there's bad reception, if people keep talking about that.
I still don't even like how they find people for the celebrations they have for touchdowns. I hate that so much.
Unless it's really inappropriate, I don't feel a need to find players for celebrations
because it's supposed to. That's what we're watching. People
want
love to see.
I feel like they just don't pay attention to what the people want. We want that. We like that. That's fun.
Yeah.
It makes the game fun. Either way, we're moving on to that point. Hit the end of the episode.
Sorry, bro.
Yeah.
That's all right.
No, but, it definitely had to be talked about. Cause,
that was just something I watched. It was a bad sign. I was actually really disgusted.
It was a bad sign for something that could really have some bad repercussions there in the NFL this season. Either way, solid preseason week 1. Very excited for the season overall. It's going to be exciting. An extra week has been added this year. A lot of moves, a lot of changes.
We'll see what that extra week does.
We'll see what that extra week does for playoff positioning and overall stats-wise.
Yeah.
There could be some records broken. Of course, I think the way they'll do the records is more 16-game record and a 17-game record.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's the way they're going to have to do it. Because I know people consider, the argument is...
there might be more 2,000-yard rushers now. So.
Yeah. And the thing in the argument could be, too, is, Eric Dickerson, this argument's used all the time. Eric Dickerson has 2,000-yard rushing season, the most rushing yards in a single season. It's considered the greatest season by a running back, right? But O.J. Simpson did it. O.J. Simpson, just player O.J. Simpson, not anything else. But O.J. Simpson rushed for 2,000 yards on 14 games, so 2 less games. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's disgusting.
So then people say that O.J. Simpson had it, and it's a good argument could be made because he was a different animal playing wise. He was definitely something else. But that gets to the end of our episode. I want to thank you guys for staying throughout the entire episode. If you did, of course, thank you so much. I want to thank my co-host Travis Dampierre again for always keeping me entertained. Not so much with the great takes, but
Great takes, guys. I always got the best takes.
But I want to thank you guys for tuning in and watching this episode, and we'll see you next time.